Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Dan Labbe, Mary Kay Cabot, Ashley Bastock with you here on a Wednesday. We're recording this on Tuesday afternoon. Lance Reisland is going to join us a little bit later, too, to go over what he saw in the film from that game on Sunday against the Bears. But before we look back, we're going to look ahead. I guess we kind of do things out of order on this pod. It just sort of hit me. But let's get into it here, Mary Kay. It is Bills week. It is another week of Shedeur Sanders. There's a lot of interesting things happening here. The Bills, of course, still continuing to fight for the AFC East, continuing to fight for the playoffs. I believe they have a clinching scenario. It's not winning in, but there is a scenario where they can clinch a playoff berth this week. What are you watching for as we get into week 16?
Well, this is an opportunity for Shedeur Sanders to rebound from his setback game against the Bears. 3 interceptions in that game. He was uncharacteristically off on some of his throws. His ball placement was not good. So he regressed in a number of ways. And he's got to go back out there on Sunday and prove that he has some of these traits and can do the things that the Browns would need him to do to be their quarterback of the future in 2026. So it's kind of a big game for him. I mean, he's really got to get out there and show them what he can do. And he has to do it against Josh Allen and the reigning NFL MVP and a candidate again for that award this year. So this is not going to be easy. He's going head to head with one of the best quarterbacks, obviously, in the NFL. And he has to show out. And I think that's probably the biggest thing for this game.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, it feels like that's going to be the story the rest of the way, Ashley, until it's not, is just Shedeur Sanders and continuing to be the only guy right now that can make that case for next season. Obviously, we'll get into all the draft stuff. We'll get into free agency. But right now, it is all Shedeur Sanders. It's all him making his case for why he should maybe be the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns next year. And he's facing a juggernaut this week. Now, similar to Chicago, this is not a team that has like just great raw defensive numbers, but this is a team that knows how to win football games. And this is a team that can make some plays on defense when they need to. And Josh Allen puts a lot of pressure on you to not give up points on the other side. So this is just a fascinating matchup. And again, it's all kind of about Shedeur Sanders.
It is all about Shedeur Sanders. And again, like to your point, Dan, I think this is just the reality that the Browns are living in now, right? And I think about that quote from him before his first start against Vegas when they asked him on the broadcast, like, what are you hoping to show people? And he said that I'm the one they've been looking for. And he legit has that chance. But on the other side in this game, Buffalo, the 3rd ranked overall offense right now in terms of yards, 381.2. And then defensively, sort of middle of the pack. They have a really bad rushing defense. Now, we've seen that before. They're ranked 30th in that. But the Browns played the Miami Dolphins and they got some things going on the ground, but it was by no means perfect. We know teams are just kind of stacking the box against them right now, especially because of some of the good games Quinshon Judkins has had. And I'm curious if we talked about it, like if Shedeur can keep looking downfield and manufacturing things downfield, especially with Isaiah Bond, maybe outside of Isaiah Bond. And I think like to Mary Kay's point the other day, they have to spread the ball out a bit more. Like Harold Fannin can't be getting 3 times the targets basically of anyone else. And defense has not figured you out. Even a quote unquote bad defense is going to kind of glom onto that. So if he can keep spreading the ball out, if he can keep finding Isaiah Bond for some of those explosive plays, I think it's going to continue to open up the run game. And this thing has to work very synergistically, I think, for him to make the best case that, hey, he can be the quarterback of the future here.
So this is where the Bills rank, and it's kind of all over the board. Total yards per game, they're 12th, but total yards per play, they're 23rd. Rushing yards per game, like you said, Ashley, they're 30th. Rushing yards per play, they're 31st. Passing yards per game, they're actually really good there. They're 2nd. 10th in passing yards per play. So that's the one area where they've had some success. I'm just reading across the line here. Their interception rate is 6th in the league. So they can force some turnovers. So Mary Kay, this is just, I think what makes this interesting is that Bills defense is good enough, like they're opportunistic enough that they can make things hard. But then on the other side, you are dealing with a Bills offense that can put up points in bunches. And obviously, this Browns defense is great. But there is an element of this to where you've also got to kind of keep up with what this Bills offense and Josh Allen can do.
Yeah, you're going to have to do that. And again, when you look at the Bills' defensive stats, they are, as you mentioned, number 2 in the NFL against the pass in terms of yards allowed, 169.5 yards allowed against the pass. And so this is not necessarily going to be a game where Shedeur Sanders can just go slinging it all over the yard and think that he's going to get away with things. So he's going to have to be judicious. He's going to have to be careful. He's going to have to pick his spots. As I mentioned before, and Ashley, reiterated, he has to mix it up. You can't keep going to the Harold Fannin well and expect that somebody's not going to get there first because they don't think that you're going to go anywhere else with that ball. Now, the good thing about it is they should be able to support him with a running game. They should be able to do that. Again, they're 30th against the run. So this is a game in which they should be able to run the ball more than 16 times. They could not sustain drives against the Bears. They kept going 3 and out. They couldn't convert a third down. I think that will be different in this game against this defense. They should be able to keep the running game viable, which will help Shedeur Sanders. So I would expect to see way more Quinshon Judkins than we saw in this past game. And once again, they're at home. They usually play better at home. And so some of these things should help.
Okay, Ashley, what are you watching for as we head into Bills week?
Well, this is just, I think, also going to be a repeat storyline until it happens. But is this the week Myles Garrett is going to break the NFL single season sack record? He's at 21.5 after Sunday in Chicago. So he needs 1.5 more to break the record. And we know Myles Garrett, and I think he would love to do this at home. The good news is he has 2 chances in back-to-back weeks at home. And I think it's going to be against quarterbacks that he would really relish getting this record against in Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. So, again, it's much like Shedeur Sanders is the storyline on the offensive side of the ball. I'm sure you guys have heard this from fans. I know I've heard it from fans who are just basically checked out of this Browns season, have had enough, but they are still watching because 1, interest in Shedeur, and 2, they want to be watching live when Myles Garrett breaks that sack record. So, not an easy ask this week, but we know Myles and how he really gets up for these kind of matchups.
Yeah, this is one of those, like Josh Allen has been sacked a decent amount this season. And I'm looking through his game log here, and there is one game that really kind of stands out, and that is against a defense that is similarly dominant. The Houston Texans has a great front like the Cleveland Browns have, and he got sacked 8 times on that Thursday night. Now, there were a lot of times, I remember that game, he was kind of trying to do too much. That was one of those weird Thursday night football games where you never read too much into what happens to the road team on a Thursday night game, but that does stand out. If you start to look for defenses that are similar to the Browns as far as kind of what they're capable of doing. The Texans and the Browns have some similarities, especially in their front. So, he's had 4 sack games, few 3 sack games. There's going to be opportunities there, Mary Kay, because Josh Allen is a guy who plays this game like a linebacker, and he's got the ability to quick game. So maybe that's what the Bills tell him to do. Like, he can play like that, but his ability to extend, his ability to make plays on the move, that's going to create some opportunities for Myles Garrett, I think.
It really will. And Myles Garrett, he wants to get this record. Of course, he wants to get it in a win. That's going to be hard to do on Sunday. But he also wants to get it at home. As I've mentioned before, I'm sure they have a video queued up and ready to go for when he breaks that record. And they're all pitching in to make sure that it happens. And the other thing about this is that you really don't want to wait and see if you can get it against Aaron Rodgers, because he will quick game you and he will do everything that he possibly can to get that ball out of his hands as quickly as he can. Now, Josh Allen, he has been sacked 33 times this season, which ties for 6th in the NFL. That is a whole lot of sacks. So I think we need to have our stories queued up and ready to go. I think as soon as the video goes up, the stories must go up. and that will be a big point of emphasis on Sunday.
Is it gonna be weird if it's like 21-3 and they like stop the game to celebrate Myles Garrett? Is that gonna be like a is there any awkwardness there? Is there any I think it would maybe be weirder if it was like Pittsburgh, but I mean, I don't know. It is gonna be sort of I don't know. Like I understand you would still do it, and I understand you should still do it, but I don't know. Like, what are we going to be thinking if the Browns are down like 25 points and they like stop the game and celebrate Myles Garrett? There's just weird vibes all around this record, Ashley. I think it just speaks to him having this incredible season and the team just not being able to do anything with it. It's not turning into victories.
Yeah, it does speak to the incredible season. Like, I don't think it's too weird, right? Just because, I mean, my gosh, we've been talking about this sack record with him for so long. And look, like, it is a huge accomplishment, right? It took 20 seasons for someone to even match that mark set by Michael Strahan. He set it in 2001. PJ Watt matched his 22 and a half in 2021. So, like, I don't think it's weird just because of the enormity of the accomplishment, but I mean, I do think there is this sort of strange dichotomy, but it's the dichotomy of, oh, this is really all the Browns have to celebrate this year, right? And these possible postseason awards basically all on the defensive side of the ball for them, and their defensive accomplishments and Myles Garrett's individual accomplishments and Carson Schwesinger's individual accomplishments. But other than that, like, there's not been a ton to watch or look forward to, especially in the back half of this season with this team as the struggles have just continued. But like, this is a huge deal. We know that, right? Like, it's a huge deal for Myles. It's one of those like big goals that he's always had set for himself. And it's a huge feather, I think, in the organization's cap to have the record be broken, and to have it be broken in like fewer games than it's taken anybody else too, if it happens this Sunday, obviously.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting scene. And I'm curious, like, I don't know if it happens and they get blown out. Obviously, it's a great moment, and Myles. I'm curious what Myles will be like after the game. It's just got weird vibes potential. But who knows? That's the story of the Cleveland Browns since 1999. Mary Kay, you want to add something there?
Yeah, I I really wanted to point out that uh, Myles Garrett has had a number of excellent seasons, and unfortunately, it does not translate to victories. In his 9 seasons, the Cleveland Browns have had 2 winning seasons. That's it. 2 winning seasons. He's been part of seasons where they've won 0 games, 1 game, 3 games, and it'll be 3, 4, something around there. This year, 6 games, 7 games, 8 games. It hasn't translated into victories, which was, of course, part of his frustration last year when he asked to be traded. Um, and I think it just goes to show you that it's all about the quarterback. If you don't have a quarterback, you don't have anything. And if you have a winning quarterback, then you can take advantage of having pieces, amazing pieces like Myles Garrett. But you can have all the Myles Garretts and the Joe Thomases, you can have those kind of Hall of Famers, and it doesn't matter if you don't have the quarterback. So that is what they've got to focus on. And it's got to be priority number 1 going forward. And they just cannot rest until they get their guy.
Well, and look at the team they're playing on Sunday, right? I mean, I think you could look at that offense, and it's like outside of James Cook, it's kind of like, and their tight ends are good, but it's kind of like what else does that team have? And it is Josh Allen sometimes just putting on his Superman cape and carrying them to victory. And they've got this opportunity now with the Chiefs out, and this AFC is up in the air as it's ever been to finally go get to a Super Bowl. And if they do, it'll be because of Josh Allen. So that just speaks to it. And that's what I'm going to talk about is this Bills offense. Ashley, did you want to add something there? Royce, I saw you unmuted
yeah,
yourself.
I was gonna say too, like, it just kind of speaks to the unfortunate nature of this Browns season, right? Like, the AFC is so open, the AFC North is so open. Everyone thought this was gonna be a turnaround year, and it hasn't been. And I think that adds to the frustration. I mean, it should add to the frustration. It doesn't feel like anyone is anointed. It feels like anything could happen, and it just doesn't feel that way, obviously, and hasn't felt that way for most of the year with the Browns because, to Mary Kay's point, they were unable to get their act together at quarterback. And it was a big ask, but the inability to do so really costs you. And we talk about windows in the NFL all the time. You never know how long those windows are going to stay open. And the Chiefs already being knocked out of the playoffs is a huge domino to fall in the AFC. And it's unfortunate the Browns can't try to take advantage of it.
Okay, so I want to talk real quick about this matchup between this Bills offense and this Browns defense because for everything we just said about Myles and everything we've said about this Browns defense, it is sort of slowly starting to trend in the wrong direction. Now, they're not playing horribly. That first quarter was bad on Sunday, but they kind of got it together for the most part. But this is an interesting test for this football team because, again, Josh Allen, right? We know what he's capable of. But also the Bills run the ball really well. James Cook has 1,400 yards, just got paid over the summer. He's one of the best running backs in the league. And this team has been getting beat up in the run game a little bit. And they've been prone to giving up some big plays here and there. And honestly, I thought they struggled a little bit against those Bears tight ends on Sunday. And guess what the Bills are going to throw at you? Two really good tight ends. So, Mary Kay, if there's one thing that is going to have carryover from this year to next year, it's most of this defense. And, it's going to be interesting to see sort of how they stack up against this Bills offense that is playing really good football right now and just came back, had this dramatic comeback against the Patriots last week. This is a really good test for this football team because we talk about where they rank across the board, third in total yards per game, first in rushing yards per game, 13th in passing yards per game, but fifth in passing yards per play. So this is one of the best offenses in the NFL. And we know what Josh Allen's capable of. And I think this is a great sort of end of year test for this defense to see kind of where they're at and kind of see how much they're still fighting out there.
That's right. I mean, they have to put good film out there. They all know that. And we know the message that Myles Garrett sent at the end of his press conference about what he wants these guys to be doing and to be putting their heart and soul into these last couple of games. But I do think that they really missed Denzel Ward on Sunday against the Bears. And we don't know if he's going to be able to play in this game. But certainly when you're going up against Josh Allen, you want to have Denzel Ward out there. He's right behind Myles Garrett, just in terms of if you're ranking Browns defensive players. And then also, I still think they're kind of grappling with the loss of Malik Collins. And they just haven't had anybody that has been able to completely 100% fill that void. Now, they've got a number of guys that can do it, that can roll in there and play really, really well. But he was having a very special season, a Pro Bowl season. And it's hard to replace that. So everybody's going to have to step up. And then, as you mentioned, everyone's going to have to play at a peak efficiency to be successful. And they might have to tweak some things if Denzel is not ready to go this week.
Yeah, I agree with you on the Denzel. I mean, you almost can't have Myles Harden out there right now, and they might have to have him out there, but it feels like every play we're seeing the last few weeks, number 26 is somewhere in the picture, behind the play. And then I think to your point, yes, I think they're missing Malik Collins. I also think Mason Graham, he's been dealing with that rib injury, and I don't think he's been quite the same the last couple weeks. And I think that's partially because Malik's not there. And I also think maybe that could be because of the rib injury too. And, I think we haven't quite noticed him as much the last couple weeks. So he's playing hurt. And I think the Browns missed that. They're starting Shelby Harris next to him and they're trying to get Mike Hall into it. And he doesn't seem quite like he's all the way back from that knee injury yet. So that might be kind of, let's see what you have next year. Ashley, that again, this is for the direction this defense is kind of trending, which I don't want to make it sound like they've fallen off a cliff because they haven't, but especially in the run game, they're going the wrong direction. This is not a great matchup. So I'm curious to see how they can kind of, bow up and see if they can shut down this Bills offense a little bit.
Yeah, I am curious, or if it is just going to be the case of the loss of that one guy and Malik Collins caused a domino effect, right? And I mean, to Mary Kay's point, you can't have one person play the way Malik Collins was. He was having a Pro Bowl season. He had a career best 6.5 sacks when he was hurt. He was playing so well. And this is a delicate balance, this defense and what guys are able to do. And the Mason Graham thing, I'm curious as the season ends, if we're going to find out more about this rib injury and if he's really playing through something significant. Because it's not like he seems to be improving, right? Like he's questionable and he's sitting out some practices and he's limited in practices. Like it's not something that's gotten better over the last 2 weeks. It seems like it's been about the same and it seems like it's something he's playing through. But I'd be shocked at this point if it isn't impacting him in some capacity, just given the nature of the position. And I agree. Like it just seems like obviously we know he's still looking for that first single sack, but even when he wasn't making sacks, there are things you'd see him do, and particularly things you'd see him do with Malik, particularly those twist stunts they like to run. And it just seems like even in those moments, you haven't really noticed him as much. He's not jumping off the film in the same way. So my guess is it's a combination of all those things. Malik's not next to him anymore, and I bet this rib is worse than he's letting on. Would be my guess.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't practice. He didn't practice. I gotta close a window here to see the whole thing. Yeah, so he didn't practice Wednesday and Thursday last week, and he was limited on Friday. So it wasn't even one of those situations where a guy just comes back and he's full on Friday. So I kind of feel like there's maybe something there. To your point, I think we're gonna find out maybe at the end of the year that he was hurt a little more than he let on, because he has been impactful this year, even though he doesn't have like 10 sacks. He's been really impactful. And I think the last 2 weeks that's dropped off a little bit. So we'll see kind of what this defense can do. This is a very interesting test on Sunday as they try to get Myles Garrett that sack record as well. We're going to take a break here on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. And when we come back, Lance Reisland is going to join the show and he'll look back on that film against the Bears from Sunday. Welcome back to the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. And as we do every Tuesday, we welcome on Lance Reisland to break down the film from Sunday's game. Lance, how are you?
I'm doing very well, Dan. How are you tonight, buddy?
I'm doing well. Let's get to it. Let's start with something a little different today. Obviously, we're going to talk Shedeur Sanders. We always have to talk Shedeur, but let's start on a little different side of things today. And let's start with, let's do this because the Bills are a really good running team. The Bears, their run game and how the Browns defended it. Was it better than it was against the Titans?
They didn't tackle very well. Myles Harden, some of these secondary guys, they didn't tackle it very well. But I tell you what, they didn't get out leveraged as much. Now, Ben Johnson, I say it all the time. Some of his insert where he inserts the receiver into the line of scrimmage or inserts the blocker from outside, it's really brilliant stuff. I thought they set the edge a little bit. Actually, there's a couple plays where Alex Wright sets the edge and his teammates come up to him. And I've been a part of that where a guy's struggling to do something and I saw Delpit and a couple guys smack him on the back, like, good job, because he's really struggled setting the edge. So they set the edge a little bit better. The one thing that's not, Shelby Harris, since the loss of Malik Collins, is not playing at as high a level. And maybe it's because he has a greater role. And sometimes guys are just better off the bench, right? Some guys are better starting pitchers or better relief pitchers. And it seems like he was a little bit more productive. He's getting moved off the line of scrimmage. And once again, this is not a negative thing, but Mike Hall coming out of Ohio State, you see why they drafted him, where his twitch, his suddenness, his ability, short area burst, all those ridiculous terms that I use that you and I will be using for the next 6 months in the draft. He has all those, but he doesn't play the run very well. And he guesses and he goes wrong gaps. And in this pressure front, if you're not gap sound with everybody coming towards the line of scrimmage, you get some big runs. So it was better. They're missing Malik Collins a ton. They moved Myles down a little bit more. Schwesinger's still playing at a high level. Bush has kind of tailed off just a little bit. And then the secondary without Warden, they didn't tackle as well as they have. So schematically, I'll say yes, they didn't tackle as well. A couple times through the film here, it's the movement inside that's really hurting them as compared to anything else.
I want to get back to the defensive tackle position because I have a question. It came up in the first part of the pod, but I want to get to I want to get to something else here real quickly because you mentioned it, Carson Schwesinger. I am just floored every week when I go back and watch these games, and it's like, oh, what a great play by that guy, and then the guy getting up is 49, or like it never fails. Like every single week, you're just seeing 3-4 times. It's like, man, what a great play. Who was that? Like if you didn't notice right off the bat, it's like, oh, of course, it's 49 again. Like he's just every week, he's just doing so many great things.
Well, I'll tell you what, 13 more tackles this week, and you said it best. So going into the draft, once again, we talk about like how hard it is sometimes to evaluate these guys. And I remember going back, and you and Tim really liked him, and I thought he was good, but I didn't have him as high as he is. I didn't have him nearly where he's playing right now. Let's put it that way. I thought he was a good athlete. But then if you remember, you and I talked about, I'll never forget when you and I went out to that first whatever camp we were at, one of the many, many camps we've been at, and it was like the thickness in his lower body. I'm like, oh, I thought this kid was like a JOK. This kid's got quite a lower body, quite a backside on him to, take on tackles. Then the thing that sticks out on film, besides all the measurables, he does all those things really well. His instincts are unbelievable. Now, what's happening a little bit since Malik Collins has gone away, it's even been more impressive, is he's getting a lot of traffic. And my dad, who played linebacker in college, was an All-American. I always remember listening to my dad talk about, we have to work through traffic. And that D-line's been so good this year, he hasn't had to work through a lot of traffic. What I mean by that is the double teams aren't coming off to him, because the defensive linemen, they have to stay on the double team because those guys have been penetrating and been Malik Collins, especially Graham. But they got, without Malik Collins, Graham's is getting double teamed. Anyway, he's been so good instinctually. And one thing you can say about all the measurables, the kid can tackle in space. It doesn't matter if he drops, he's got all the hit movement, short area burst, he can cover man, he can cover zone, all those measurables that I'll go over. I'm sure I'll be doing a post on him soon, but that he's just instinctually, he just finds the football. There's guys, my dad used to say this, which I watch him every time. Watch him next time he blitzes, how skinny he gets. And what I mean by that, he doesn't give any surface area for the offensive lineman to hit. He kind of contorts his body. That's all natural, instinctual kind of stuff. He's only going to get better, because the one thing he does struggle with a little bit is when those big guys get on him. So he's got, we always call it stack and shed. He's got to learn to jam those guys up and then get rid of them a little bit quicker. But that'll come with strength. And this is the worst. If he continues, this is the worst he's going to be. If that makes any sense, this is the worst he's going to be, which is crazy if you think about it. He really, really impressive. I love when that stuff happens. And I love when guys go way beyond their measurements and how I view them coming into the draft.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because on the Hey MK pod, we were talking about these rookies growing up, right, in year 2. And it's great when you have a nice rookie year, but the key is you got to turn that into a career. And so like Harold Fannin, Quinshawn, all of the Mason Graham, all of these guys have to continue their development. And it's hard to even think, like, where does Carson Schwesinger have to get better? Like, he's the one guy in this class where it's like, if this is who he is his entire career, and I don't think it will be, he's going to be pretty good his entire career. But to think of him only getting better, it's unbelievable.
Well, there's two things. I will be the bearer of bad news to kind of see what you can kind of look for him. One thing he does, he actually overruns things at times because he's so aggressive. So he's going to have to learn to keep his shoulders square at the line of scrimmage. Secondly, like I said, he's going to have to learn to get his hands on those big tackles and get rid of them. So that'll all be weight room work. The other, but besides that, I think you're right. Now, guys like, there's guys in football like me who just thrive on watching film. And those NFL guys, you said it best. As much film as I watch, I don't watch as much film as those guys. That's what they do. Now, I'd like to watch film all day. I would absolutely do it, and I've done it in my life, and it's the best thing ever. But that's why that second year is so important, because now teams are going, we got to block Carson Schwesinger. We have to cover Harold Fannin. We have to stop the run. Like, now there's film out there. Now they're not rookies. Now this is a league where all offseason, people are going to be breaking down. There's people who get paid to break down what the Browns do well and who's good and things like that. So that's why they got to continue to work, because now the film's out there and the eye in the sky never lies.
So let's go back to the defensive tackle position. And I was thinking about Mason Graham today, and he's had a fantastic rookie year. I know the stats might not be there, but you have felt his impact all season. When you're watching these games, his penetration, his ability to create pressure. I think it's a big reason why Myles has so many sacks. I think Mason Graham's a part of that. I do feel like the last couple weeks, I've felt him a little bit less. And I'm wondering, first of all, I'm wondering if you are seeing that. And secondly, I wonder how much the loss of Malik Collins, as well as the rib injury, he didn't practice 2 days last week and he was limited on Friday. So he's dealing with this rib injury. Does he look different the last couple weeks?
He looks a little bit more down, a little bit beat up, a little bit slower than he's been. He got trapped a couple times by Tooney and those guys, Johnson. They absolutely trapped the you-know-what out of him. I'll send you a couple of those clips. It's pretty violent, but those are learning curves, right? Because he's got to learn, as you get through the year, you start to feel yourself, you start to get better, and you start to read schemes, and you get away from your rules. If, as a defensive tackle, you get down. If you're covering the guard in front of me is my job. It's not sacking the quarterback, it's the guy in front of me. And then you said about impact. I couldn't agree with that more, Dan. Like, if you look at a couple of the twist sacks that Myles Garrett's got or Malik Collins has got, that's because Mason Graham took 2. And literally he would work a crash stunt or a crash technique where he's going to be on the nose. He's going to take the center and he's going to crash himself into the guard, basically saying, I'm going to take 2. You guys go do it. You can only do that if you're big, and you can only do that if you have good feet. So, yeah, his impact will never be felt in the stat sheet as much as he will be a pain in the butt Besides Myles, obviously, but Mason Graham's a hard guy. You're not gonna move him in the run game. He's a little bit beat up. Malik Collins, now they can slide everything to him. Now he's the alpha in there and slide protection, and that center can help if he's at the 2-eye. They slid away from him all year, so he always had single coverage in pass pro. So yeah, it gets when you become the alpha, that's where the protection goes, and that's where the run game goes away from, or whatever it may be.
Okay, so let's talk Shedeur. I floated a theory to you on Monday about sort of what I'm seeing with Shedeur, and I thought watching that game, I didn't think he was great in the pocket, but not in the way that we kind of criticized when he was coming out of Colorado, where it was like, and what we saw against Baltimore, where he's running backwards, where he's taking bad sacks. Now he did take a couple bad sacks on Sunday, but he wasn't doing the really bad stuff, right? And I kind of had this theory that when I watch him, I'm seeing him trying, like really consciously trying to do the things he needs to do to be successful, right? So step up in the pocket, not run backwards, right? Go through his progressions. And I wonder if that's slowing him down a little, not in a, and I don't think that's a bad thing, by the way, right now, but I wonder if that's slowing him down a little in maybe going through his reads, maybe being a little more free and just kind of being out there playing football because he's got to think too much about these things. These habits haven't become second nature to him yet. Do you think there's any legitimacy to that?
That's exactly what you're seeing. You're seeing the I'm trying to do it right, because now here's the other thing that happens, Dan. As a quarterback, a lot of what he does that he's had issues with, first of all, he had no choice. Secondly, he's had success with that. So when he's had a ton of success with spinning out of sacks in college. Well, if you had a ton of success with it, hard to just say, I'm not doing that anymore. But you see the progression of him stepping up in the pocket. You see the progression of him doing things on a very high level cognitive kind of way. And once again, that's why it's always important to have multiple eyes watching stuff, because as much football as I watch, I almost watch football sometimes robotic. Somebody asked me the other day, Riz, what do you do when you watch a football game for fun? I've never watched a football game for fun. And what I mean by that is, like, when you think about like what could be happening, and really a lot of his things that he had the other day, he's trying to do it right. And then in college, I called the interception that he had with Gardner Johnson, I called that the Travis Hunter interception. I'm getting the what kicked out of me. Travis is down there somewhere. And that's kind of what he felt about Fannin. It was just a terrible, terrible read. But that's okay too. And I would just say with him, what you got against the Titans, and I kind of was like, people were like, there's no way he did that in spite of everything. He did it with people. And that being said, that's what helped this week, because for me, I don't feel any different. You do things in football with people. So the success he had against the Titans it was him and all of his teammates. And a lot of the failures he had this week were him and all of his teammates, along with play calling and everything else. So the idea of if people could just relax and kind of let him ease into it, I think he's doing a great job, Dan. And I think one of the things you can say about him most is that he's really trying to be coachable. And that's awesome, because that's what you're seeing. And when you texted that to me, it was like an aha moment. I'm like, that's exactly what's going on. He's trying to do it right and slowing him down.
Yeah, and I think that's, again, this goes back to, you just cannot have a normal discussion about him. Like, I'm not saying that as a negative. Like, that's actually a good thing, because it's showing you that he understands what he needs to get better at to be successful in the league, and he's consciously trying to apply that to his game. And it's not, you don't just learn new habits and, in the heat of a football game where you have 3 seconds to get the football out, it's going to be awesome. Like, it's like I said, it's going to slow you down. But if he continues to work at it and get better at it, and he needs game reps, I don't know if he's going to get enough of those. We'll see. I mean, it's going to be 7 by the end of the year. And then who knows what's going to happen after this season is over. But if he continues to get the game reps, there is a chance, and it's not a guarantee, but there is a chance that this stuff is going to start to become second nature for him. And that's going to speed him up. And then it's just going to be like, hey, now I'm back to just playing football, and I'm doing it at a higher level because I've mastered all of these things. There's no guarantee he's going to get there, but it's a good sign that he's trying.
Well, and you're right about having a honest discussion. And I think he has done a good job of blocking out the good and the bad noise, because when everybody, for me, and I don't mind saying this out loud, when everybody said he was the absolute answer because he had a great game against the Titans, I didn't think that. And I'm always kind of in the middle. I did not think that at all. But I thought he did some really good things, and I thought he progressed. I still think he did some decent things in this game, but I don't think he played very well, but I still don't feel any different.
Well,
right?
and
The idea of,
to your point, you're not coming on here and screaming that the Browns should like bench him or like
yeah,
move on from
sure.
him either, you
Well, I'll
know?
give you an example, Dan. We talked about, I was talking before the pod, we talked about the interception to Gardner Johnson. That's a really bad football play by an NFL quarterback. He'll tell you that. And a couple of the things that people have said to me, well, he's only had 100 reps. Well, cover 3 with 4 under on a levels concept, I guarantee you Shedeur Sanders has run that. That's a basic concept, high school, college, and pro. He's run that concept a million times. He was trying to get the ball to Fannin, didn't read who he should read. There's no way when people say the DB made a great play. DB made a great play because he threw it to the wrong guy. He should have been down in the flats to Bates. Now, once again, that's not a criticism like saying he's a terrible player. It's saying if you don't do the right thing in the NFL, you allow people to make plays. If it's man coverage or a guy in your zone, great. But this was his fault. There is no arguing that. That was a cover 3, 4 under. He didn't read the flat defender. We can all do that at the, not in the NFL, but like in terms of, what you see as a quarterback and watching film. That's something that everybody runs, and something at his level, he knows. If you ask Shedeur Sanders, he will tell you. I guarantee you, I was throwing the ball to Fannin. I thought that I saw C.J. Gardner on the line of scrimmage. I didn't do my post snap. I guarantee it, because that's what ends up happening. But that's okay, because next time you'll go, okay, in the NFL, this guy can get back even if he's at the line of scrimmage. That's okay. So yeah, I'm with you. He's just got to be, and that'll help him. Then that'll help everybody kind of minimize the highs and minimize the lows, and kind of let him ease into what he's doing. I think he's doing a great job. And I still think there's a place for Dylan Gabriel. People don't believe that, but I don't think he got enough time, and I'm glad they did, but I'm glad they're giving Shedeur time through the ups and the downs. If you're going to find out, you got to find out. And I don't think this season is going to be the answer because of the surrounding pieces, but I'm with you. There's got to be some rational talk that'll help his growth.
And the other part of it too is we've seen there are these flashes, right? Obviously everybody's going to talk about the throw to Judy for all the reasons to talk about what happened on that play. That was a fantastic throw. But the first deep ball to Bond, it was really impressive when I watched it back on the All-22, but I'm just from the angle we had in that Bears press box. So it was kind of behind the play. It wasn't quite the corner of the end zone behind them, but it was sort of near that corner of the end zone. That was a beautiful football. Like the timing, the accuracy, getting it to Bond where he was going to be. That was not just hey, Isaiah Bond's down there somewhere. That was I know where to throw this football so Isaiah Bond can go get it. It's throws like that and plays like that you're like, man, this is why you're patient with him, and this is why you want to keep giving him a chance and see what's in there.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm gonna that play I tried to break down and see what he saw. So what makes that play even more impressive to me, Dan, is that when they come out, the Bears decided that they were going to show a lot of 7 and 8 man fronts and bring 4 or 5. But the offensive line was so poor and they're so new. That was a great job by Allen, because they made the offensive line sorted out. And that's not real hard for a veteran offensive line, because they can actually look into the secondary and see if people are stacked. And, veteran offensive linemen, they can also see second level stuff that helps them with blitz pickup. Not these guys, they're all brand new. So what made that really cool was that the Bears showed a cover 3 8-man front. That's all they had. They had no linebackers, nobody. Then on the snap of the ball, they brought 5, right? Bond was in the slot. Shedeur knew that they were going to roll to a cover 2. They rolled to a cover 2 that we call cover 2 man trail. So if you go back and watch, I tweeted it out. You can take a look. It's the DBs actually like let the receiver get in front of them, because they know they have 2 safeties in back to kind of help them. And what that does against a team like the Browns, it takes away the underneath stuff. You have help in the back. Well, you have help in the back, but the Browns knew that Bond was running a vertical. That's all on Shedeur. Shedeur also knew that Edwards, the middle linebacker, 53, he was on the line of scrimmage over the guard. He was going to have to carry Bond. He knew that safety was a split in 2-man. Just a really great throw. The throw was okay to me. It was a really nice throw, but he makes those throws. What's impressive is that he knew where to go with the football, and that's when his feet are set. That's when the weight transfer happens. That's when all that good stuff happens, because you believed in what you saw pre-snap, you confirmed it post-snap, and then you let it rip. That's what's so impressive to me.
Okay, let's get to our question of the week. This is what everybody's here for.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our question of the week here on the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. I've been putting together my big board while you've been talking too, so like I'm ready to go. I always
like when I get there.
A lot.
I always like when I text it to you and you get like when you get the big board going. I know you like, so it's hit or miss. You always like the questions, but when I know you get the big board rocking right away, I know you like the questions. So the question today is, What is the most frustrating thing when you have to wait for something? You have to wait in line for something. You have to be patient for something. What is something that just frustrates you? We're going to do a 3-round draft. As your friend, I'm going to give you first pick in the draft. We're looking for things that could be big, could be small, could be personal, could be whatever. What are things that just frustrate you when you have to wait?
This one's pretty raw because I had a hell travel day on Saturday to get to Chicago. I had a hell travel day. Airports.
Yeah, it's a
Now I
great
don't know if
one.
I have to be specific or not.
No,
If I have to be
there's a
okay.
whole bunch. Yeah, you just umbrella the whole. I know the process. You're like,
It's
oh,
just
how's this?
so on Saturday I had to wait to see if my flight was going to come in, if the plane that was going to take us to Chicago was going to come in. It didn't. I had to wait for the plane that was going to take me to Charlotte before I could go to Chicago. I had to wait on that plane to leave the gate, and then I had to wait for it to get de-iced. And then when we landed in Charlotte, we had to wait for somebody to leave the gate, and then everybody had to wait for me while I ran to get my connection in Charlotte. And it was just it was a lot of waiting. And then airport security lines. There's no better investment in this world than TSA pre-check, by the way. But airport
Well, I was
security
thinking
lines are awful to wait in.
when you texted me and said I'm watching the film at the airport, it was like I thought you'd already be home at that point in time. I'm like somebody
Well,
got
that
stuck.
was yeah, it was a tough travel day on Saturday getting out to Chicago. But anyway,
All right,
airports.
my first round pick is something that made me think of the question today. When I have a lot going on and I try to get everything done, like most adults, when you have kids, you're trying to figure out the day in the morning. Mine is going to be the car line to pick up my kid from
Mm,
school. Just
good one.
the inability to like after we're 14 to 16 weeks into school, the efficiency of there's 8 spots. I think the school does a great job where my daughter goes to school. They have 8 spots and you pull up and there's a person on the mic. They have the whole system. And people just like, I'm just like, they got the system, folks. They've been doing this. Like, get it going here. Like, I shouldn't be waiting. They got it. So yeah, I'm gonna say the pickup line at my daughter's middle school is a terrible, terrible wait.
Well,
That's a first world problem, but that's a terrible wait.
listen, I don't want to tell people how to parent, but I'm going to. Tell your kid to get ready to get out of the car, man. Like,
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
stop at the school and then it's like, oh, I gotta, I don't know, put my shoes on. Or I don't know what these kids are doing, but tell your kid to be ready to get out of that freaking car when we pull up.
I know. It's so yeah, that's actually as I was sitting there getting ready for my day, doing my text and doing all the stuff that we all do, I was like, oh, this is the inspiration for the question today because this is irritating more than it should be.
Okay.
Round two.
This encompasses a lot of things. Like this kind of feels like airport if I'm just saying airport in general, but I'm going to say this. If you want me to pick a specific thing, I can, but I'm just going to say traffic.
Solid.
When you're stuck in traffic, whether it's construction or whatever, there's an accident or something like that, but you're just in traffic. It's not moving. It's sort of like an airport. There's that stress of like, maybe you're under a time constraint. And it's like, maybe it always happens when you like leave just a little later than you wanted to. Traffic.
All right, mine's related to that. This is another one, a lot of late night traveling, things of that nature. But I'm going to go with stoplights in the middle of the night when no one's around and I'm sitting at the red light.
The
and
worst.
It's the same amount of time. And you're just like, this should be a flashing red light right now. I'm sitting there. You don't see cars. There's no one out there. You're solo and you're just doing the right thing at this red light. That's a stupid one to me. I don't understand that one, but that one gets me as well. So those are the first two for sure for me.
That's like a character test. That's like putting your cart back at the grocery store, right?
No
Taking
doubt.
it. So that means, okay, you're a good person because you did the bare minimum of taking your cart back to the thing. You're a good person if you wait through that light for 2 minutes when there's no one around.
It's a long 2
red
minutes
for no reason, and it's 2 a.m. It's like, what are we doing here? But you did the right thing. So
appreciate that.
That's
Appreciate
gonna pay
that.
off.
Karma's. I believe in karma, so I'll take it.
That's going to pay off some other time in life. I don't know when, but it'll pay off. Okay, so where are we at here?
Last pick in the draft here.
There's a really obvious one that is such a cliche, but I'm actually going to avoid it. I'm going to go with.
Is that the DMV?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't go. I couldn't pick it either. It's too easy.
Yeah, especially because the BMV I go to is actually really good. I don't even want to tell people what I go to. It's actually great.
You're not as old as me, but you're in a little bit closer to generation. Like when we were like we were 21 to 25, it was like a day process. Like the whole getting your license I agree with you. It's not like that anymore at all.
Okay, this is one, right? We've got kids, so I'm sure you make more frequent trips to this place when you have kids. The emergency room or like urgent care,
Just
whatever. If there's
yeah,
you never know what's going on. You never know you don't know why you're not getting back there. When you do get back there, you don't know when you're going to see somebody. There's
it's
no communication about like, well, nobody's like, hey, it's going to be 45 minutes. Nope, you're just on your own. And
and you're
even if
for
they do
sure
give you an
doctor.
estimate, it's wrong. Like,
And you're for sure Doctor whoever who's on call that weekend at 1:30 in the morning, he's not happy being there. So he's,
no, no, it's not.
it's
Look, it's
all the
not their fault. It's the
no.
system. Okay.
Yes,
It's the
I got you.
system in place. But like, it's also incredibly frustrating when you have to go to, again, I've got an emergency room that I go to that usually is pretty solid. I'm not
You
gonna
got a
give it
guy.
away.
You got a
Yeah,
guy.
I
It's always
guess,
good to have
yeah,
a guy. You
I
got a
got a
guy.
place.
You
Yep.
got a guy. I got you. I love people who have got a guy. I love got a guy people. All right, my last one is probably like my OCD, ADHD kicks in when I see this, but it generally I'm like, what are we doing here? When the elevator's open and no one's there, and then and you're just sitting there, and especially if there's people with you in the elevator and the door opens and there's like the 4 to 6 seconds, you're like, when is it going to close? Do I need to hit the button to close the doors? What's going on there? Do I need to hold it? Somebody out there? I'm going to go with the multiple elevator door openings with no one there. The awkwardness of the time, and just kind of like if you're going down and you stop at stop at 6 floors and no one's there, you just wasted 3 minutes of your life. You're never getting back. So I'm going to say elevator door opening for no reason is a
That's
time waster as well.
Yeah, I would throw in just slow elevator in general. When you're like
Just
standing there waiting for it to come and it's like, what is happening here? I've been here for it feels like 10 minutes.
Yeah, I was on. So I always say this. I don't know. It's either Venetian or somewhere, but there is an elevator in Vegas that I was on that you have to hold on to the railing, and I was like, this is how elevators should be. You should go from the 80th floor to the first floor within seconds. It should almost be
It
close
should
to
be like
death.
the demon drop.
Yeah.
It'd be like
Oh,
the old demon drop at Cedar Point.
what a name drop that is! Demon drop. That was just a what's a good ride. Let's just get them up high and drop them as fast
Drop
as we
them.
can.
Okay, you got some. You told me you had like 21 on your list.
Oh yeah, let me get to my list. I
I
had a
bet we
bunch.
have.
Well,
I bet we have some of the same ones.
all right. So I had waiting for team, like when I was, like waiting for people. So if I'm a coach and I'm the head coach and a meeting starts at 7, I don't expect you there at 7. That's a killer for me. That's wasted time. How about this the old dial up internet?
Oh my god,
Young people don't understand that, but let me tell you folks, it's not a great one. It's
tough.
not fun at all. What do you got? What's one you got?
I've got let's see, waiting on hold.
That's a
Just when you're on
terrible one.
hold, like you don't know they're playing the
Yeah.
music.
Yeah. You know,
They keep telling you like they keep telling you you're whatever in line. It doesn't matter.
how about wait time at the restaurant when you're how
I had
many?
that one.
How
Yeah,
many? We got 3. All right, it's gonna be 25 minutes, and then it's either 47 or 6.
it's an
Like
entire.
you get the little thing sometimes where they give you a little beeper. And you're like, they're like 45 minutes, and you go get a drink or something, and it beeps, or you're like not even hungry anymore. So that's what gets me.
I mean, there's an entire Seinfeld episode.
Yeah, there it is. Baggage claims terrible.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with one I had recently. Uh, so I go to a place. I don't have a guy. It's a place. It's a good spot. But like, get my tires filled up if the air gets low. Like that's a process that I cannot get back when you go to a place. You got to wait and it goes slow. Like at the place, they do it in like 5 seconds. Getting air in your tires is entirely too much. This is gonna be personal here, but when the referees would not explain what happened on a play. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to figure out who to yell at or yell at myself or whatever I'm trying to do. And they give you do you want to decline it? Do you want to, I'm like, I don't even know what you're calling. So that's a personal one.
Can
Um,
I? Oh, I'll tell you this. So this does annoy me. Oh, this is actually a good one. I just thought of because first of all, Lance, you got a guy that puts the air in your tires.
no, here's what happened. So I got brand new, it's a little bit of a pet peeve here, but I had to get new tires. So, the COVID thing, I was going to buy a new car. I got a guy for a car, but he was like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Riz, you got to just buy your car. Your car's in great shape. There's no cars, there's no stock. So I just bought my car. It's great. It's been worked out awesome. So I got new tires about 6 months ago, and I'm telling you, I bought 4 lemons. They gave me 4 lemons. So out of spite, I make them
Okay.
fill up my tires because it makes me crazy that I spent this money on tires. And so anytime, and it's kind of like where I go a lot of times for work. So it's easy to stop in, but out of spite, I make them, especially
All right.
because I got lemons.
Fair
So
enough.
yeah,
Spite is good.
spite air is good.
I was gonna say replay review. It's
Especially
especially basketball and college football. Basketball in general is terrible. College football, they just have not figured it out. And it drives me crazy because we will sit there and within seconds we'll see a replay on our giant TVs at home and we know exactly what happened. And yet the refs still have to waddle over to a monitor, turn it around, sit and stare at it for 2 minutes.
the little thing they
Like
stand up.
we can do this. The NFL has done a great job of making this faster. We can do this. We can literally fix these calls in 10 seconds. It can be done. But for some reason, we have these antiquated processes. I don't know. I hate it. Replay reviews terrible. This is a whole
Well,
pod right here.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. What's wrong with the replays for me, too, is not the ones that they're like, they need the angles. And I get some of those because there are some that are tough. But it's when the guy was in a bad spot and it short hops him 4 feet in front. You're like, just look up at the screen. You don't need to confirm with anybody.
But no, we got to stop the game. We got to stop the game for 10 minutes.
Just go, like, everybody look up at the thing. There should be the guy, because you guys should go look up at the board. Like, look up at the board. It short hopped him by 4 yards. He had his back to it. His tough angle. Everybody saw it. Move on. Like, those are the ones that get me. The tight ones I'm okay with, but like the short hopped ones are like no feet in bounds. Like, how many times he doesn't have both feet in bounds? You can see it. You saw it in the. Yeah, I'm with you. It's got to get better.
Yeah,
for sure.
Leaving an event.
Well, you and I know leaving Blossom. Oh, if you don't get it right. So I got a guy at Blossom now, and it costs a little bit more money. And I know you feel the same way. Sometimes the parking pass that I now buy for Blossom is often more expensive than the tickets that I buy, and I will pay for them every single time because it is the best investment ever. Because getting out of that place, like you know how when you go to Blossom, they have like the cones, and you're always like, when I was younger, especially in college, I'm like, how are those people getting in? Well, now you know they're paying more than they're paying for the concert tickets, which I agree with, folks. You made a good call, and I did it late, but yeah, that's a good one for sure.
And you and I both have done, obviously, when you were coaching, it was different, but like you're doing high school football broadcasts now. We've both done the high school football like media thing where it's like the game's over or whatever. You're trying to get in, you're trying to get out. Like it sucks.
Yo, it's the worst. It's
even a high school football game. It's just a terrible experience.
Well, no high school football games are made for playoffs. When stadiums are built, they're never built for like big games. So that's the problem. The bathrooms, the concession stand, there's always run out of hot dogs because no game, usually most high school, unless you're a big time school, most games are not made for you only have one big time game, 2 big times in games a year. Yeah, I'm with you. And then you can't get out. The parking's terrible. I'm with you.
And then I only had I had checkout line and then waiting for a roller coaster.
Waiting for a roller coaster is a good one. You can do jump the line now, though. That's another one that's well worth the online orders. Terrible. I don't understand why at certain places, not only does the time bother me, but I don't understand at certain places you can't get the condiments you want. So not only am I waiting, but what do you mean I can't get ketchup and mustard? It's just ketchup and mustard. Like, what do you like? That makes me mad. I had the airport stuff. I'm waiting for the doctor. I don't do fast food much anymore, but like when you get fast food and they don't have it ready and you have to pull over to like the little spot.
Oh yeah. Drive through when
like
you're
they're
behind,
like, can you pull up to right? Oh, you mean not to get fast food at a fast food place? Yes, that's what I'd love to do.
Okay, we're gonna go like 2 hours on this pod here. But
yeah.
I gotta say, speaking of the fast food thing, like there's all these drive-through coffee places now, right? And like Starbucks has had drive-throughs forever, Dunkin' has had drive-throughs forever. And I don't understand why there can't just be a separate drive-through if you're just getting coffee.
Like
if I'm I'm with you. Just a second drive-through. That's fine if people want to get specialty drinks. I get specialty drinks sometimes. That's fine, but they take longer. So can we just have a second drive-through window or a second lane?
It just should be young
I'm
kids
just getting
that
a
just
coffee,
has cups of
and it's just we're winging through there.
Yeah, he's throwing them
All
at
I'm
you.
getting is a coffee. Yeah,
and you got to catch it. It's in a thing, but I'm with you.
There's not even a speaker. I'm just pulling up to the window, and I'm like, black coffee or coffee with sugar. And they're just handing it to me, and we're gone.
All right, my last one that I have to is, and this goes back to some of my deficiencies, but when I'm listening to somebody tell a story and they just won't get to the point, and you're waiting for it, and they just refuse to give it to you. And now you're pot committed, and you're like, could you get it to me? Could you get me what I'm looking here? And then they give it to you about 6 to 8 minutes too late. So that's a personal one, but that one gets me a lot.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right, there we go. Things we hate waiting for.
It's a good one today.
I'm sure there's a million that we missed. Yeah, we could go.
I'll get some message on those. People will be like, "Oh, I like this one." Yeah, that was a good one.
We've been doing a lot of old man yell at cloud drafts.
I'm taking my ball and I'm going home drafts. The Browns have done that to us. We're taking our ball. We're going home.
I'm telling you, coffee places. I just gave you $1 million idea. It's
no doubt.
Perfect.
It almost should be like on a shelf. Like there's like a shelf that reaches out.
Just a shelf of coffees.
It's like when you're running, right? And the marathon, you just pick it up, the runner, and you just throw the money behind you. Yeah. It should be, it's actually, I'm with you.
For the people who just want a coffee, we can speed this process up.
And you know what? And I'm all black coffee, so I don't even need stuff.
Same.
Just give me a cup. Throw the cup at me. I'm in.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Look at us agreeing on black coffee. Every now and again, Lance, we come across something where it's like
we cross. Every once in a while, we cross a path, my friend. Not often.
All right. Find our YouTube channel. It's Cleveland Browns on cleveland.com. If you're not subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to pods, just go search for Orange or Brown Talk and you'll find us. Leave us good reviews. Tell us what you hate waiting for. And let's see what else do I want to promote. Football Insider, cleveland.com/Browns, the blue banner at the top of the page. Get involved with that. That was Lance. You heard from Mary Kay and Ashley earlier. I'm Dan. Thanks for listening, everybody.